Good Friday morning, Jasper, Alabama. James here live at 9, and we've got a guest this morning who just announced a few days ago that he will be running for mayor of Jasper. It's Josh Gates. Josh, welcome into the studio this
Thank you
morning.
very much. Happy to be here.
Pull that microphone close to you.
Will do.
There you go. I just want to talk to you. I think it was big news on Monday. Everybody was sharing the information. Hey, this guy's running for mayor. And it seemed like there were so many positives that came out. Were you shocked by all the positive response?
Absolutely, I was. I was overwhelmed and floored and just so appreciative. And just the sense of the community kind of rallying behind me and supporting me in this venture. And it's a team effort. So having that support, especially early on, is so appreciated.
Tell us a little bit about your background for people who don't know you. You're from Jasper originally?
Oh, actually, my parents moved here the second half of my senior year in high school in 1999.
Okay.
And I was here for 6-8 months before I joined the military and moved away. But my parents have been here. My dad was a pastor at Mount Vernon Baptist Church in Curry for over 20 years. Retired a few years ago. So this was a place I was familiar with, and my family's here, visited frequently. And then when my wife and I had an opportunity to when we started raising a family, I had an opportunity to settle down. We chose here. We're happy to be here. It's been incredible so far.
And this might go into some of why you wanted to run for mayor, but why did you choose here? What was it about Jasper, Alabama that made you want to be where you wanted to raise your kids?
Because my parents were here and we visited frequently, we're familiar with the area. It was comfortable. My wife and I were living in New Orleans at the time, and having a place to raise a family in a solid environment that was safe, and that had afforded them opportunities, and a place we could put roots in, was so attractive to us. And both my wife and I moved around frequently growing up, and so we always, again, just dreamed of putting in roots somewhere and just investing and being part of the community. That was the idea. But then once we chose to move here, and we did move here, we're just blown away with how welcoming people were, opening doors for us, giving us opportunities, plugging us in, and it just has been motivating this whole time to continue to give back and to be engaged in the community. So I'm so appreciative of those people that even early on reached out to us and plugged us in.
Again, to remind everybody, we're talking to Josh Gates. It's live at 9 here on WJLX. Josh, running for mayor, you're currently a council member. Before that, you were doing a lot of work with Jasper Main Street. I think you were the president of its board.
Yes.
What has been kind of your reasoning behind getting involved in that, and then going as far as being a council person?
That's a good question. There's so much momentum in our community right now, and we've come so far in the last 10 years. My wife and I moved back in 2014, and seeing that transformation over the last 10 years and being involved with Main Street, which I think has been a good vehicle for some of that growth and just tangible representation of what our town is doing and what it can do. That's been incredible. But I also recognize that it's critical to maintain that momentum. I'm raising 2 sons, 8 and 12, and just the idea of cultivating an environment where they want to live here. They want to raise their own families in Jasper. I want that to be the case, but for them to be able to make that choice, there has to be career opportunities, and there has to be a high quality of life. So from a selfish perspective, those are things that I definitely want to look after. But then just the side of me that just has this almost insatiable drive to just push and go. I believe ceilings become floors. And I see all this momentum around town, all this potential, not long-term. I mean, certainly there is long-term potential, but there is immediate just over the horizon potential for Jasper to do some really cool things and to continue to grow significantly. And I want to be a part of that. I don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. I need to look at a sports analogy, put me in the game, coach. In those critical moments, I want the ball. And I think it's certainly time for a new generation of leaders in our community. Not that the current group is not doing a fantastic job, and they certainly have set a solid financial and directional foundation for growth and for continued growth. But it's time for us to, and I'm speaking to my age group, to kind of carry the torch forward and to engage. And as we started, just to kind of come full circle to the intro, those early opportunities that were afforded to me and those people that went out of their way to plug me in, I feel obligated to continue to be engaged and to give back to our community and be involved.
And I guess that's the main reason for you to decide to run for mayor is that obligation you feel, being here, being part of the community, and just to kind of be even more involved.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about the thought process going into running for mayor. I mean, you didn't just wake up Monday morning and say, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do." So tell us the process of why now. Yeah, I guess.
So a lot of people, as I'm running for mayor and kind of putting myself out there, people may be surprised that I'm actually a very private and reserved person. This is not my comfort zone. It's a bit awkward for me. You're exposed, you feel vulnerable. But this is about looking after where we live. This is about everyone's quality of life. This is about something that has afforded me and my family so many opportunities. And having these opportunities, seeing I use the word tangible, it feels tangible, the opportunity of just bringing people together in a sense of collaboration on a unified vision, the same directional heading, and just working collaboratively to just really push and really just realize the potential that's there for Jasper. It's infectious, and I have to be involved, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, and I think I've seen the phrase unified vision in several of your releases and on your Facebook page and things like that. What is some of that unified vision, and talk a little bit about what you've seen as far as unity in the community in the time that you've been back here?
I've lived all over the Southeast and I've traveled the world. And I really think that there is a unique characteristic and personality to Jasper. It is a unified place. Everyone supports each other for the most part, and everyone is wanting to be better. And the sense of compassion and just genuine and sincere care for your fellow man and things like that. I mean, those are special and real things that are not consistent across every community, nationwide. There's so much that's truly there. We must continue to push for new industry that pays sufficient wages for our community. And so I'm eager to get to work on continuing to push on that. There's tons of efforts that are going into that currently, but we've got to stay focused on that. Just talking about things that we unify around. To support that, we have to really target educating and training our workforce. We have to have a labor force that can man those jobs. And workforce, we were talking about this earlier, workforce is kind of like the topic of the day, but it wouldn't be if there weren't real and immediate opportunities for a labor force to be engaged.
Right.
And those are there. And so I really want to realize that. And I think that we can focus on those kind of things and really see some cool things.
Well, and I see there are a lot of positives that are happening around Jasper and been happening around Jasper. I still see a lot of negatives. On social media, it's easy for people to be negative, and if there's an announcement made that another fast food place is coming to town or something like that, it's almost going to happen that somebody's like, oh, it's another one of these or another one of these, or but if you look at Jasper, it's still growing. There are people coming here. There are also opportunities economically as far as like industrial manufacturing that people are still coming here. And you can't say that about most communities. Most communities aren't saying people want to come here, people want to do business here. And I think that's such a positive thing about Jasper that sometimes we overlook.
Absolutely. And again, that gets to the critical nature of the momentum that we currently have. It has to be maintained. It has to be purposed and pursued earnestly. We have to really continue to drive to the realizations of potential. It is not something that transforms who Jasper is, though. Jasper is special, and that we're not trying to change what Jasper is. We're trying to help Jasper realize its full potential, and it's well on the way. And that's another thing that just, again, makes this an exciting opportunity for me to get involved with some of this, is I'm not running against a bunch of negative things. It is positive. And I think even as you were talking about some of the different opportunities that people may be divided on, if there's awareness that it's all pieces towards a bigger picture, and we're on that path. I think people appreciate those things more and more and realize and have a greater sense of purpose behind a lot of those pieces that are steps along the way. Similar to climbing a mountain, right?
Right.
You know, it's daunting, overwhelming, and relatively impossible when you're standing at the base looking at the top, but just incrementally kind of chipping away with it on that same path towards the summit. That's where the magic happens, and that there's a galvanizing impact of that as well.
And that's a good segue into mountain climbing. That's something I do want to bring up here in a few moments. Just to remind everybody, we are talking to Josh Gates. He announced earlier this week that he will be running for mayor of Jasper. So far as I know, you're the only person who has announced that you'll be qualifying to run for mayor. I would like to take a break real quick. We're going to listen to a couple songs, and then we'll come back. And I think we do want to talk about some mountain climbing, because that's something that you've done. I mean, more than anybody I know in Jasper, Alabama, you have been at the top of Everest, so that's a pretty cool thing. But we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back here on Live at 9, talking to Josh Gates on WJLX. Josh, we kind of segued into mountain climbing because you mentioned climbing mountains, and that's something a lot of people may not know, or some people may know that you do. But you've climbed mountains all over the world, including Everest, Kilimanjaro, I mean, everything. Where did you get into that? Why? Like, just tell us about it.
Okay. Mountain climbing and just being in the mountains was something that helped me transition from the military. There's so many parallels there, and specifically the type of climbing that I enjoy doing the most. I enjoy rock climbing, but I really gravitate towards the long expedition, high altitude climbs. And just that process of just enduring misery and just overcoming obstacles and problem solving and pivoting just based off changing circumstances is just so stimulating and just gratifying, and it is good for my soul. So that was something. I got out of the military in 2004 and started dating my wife soon after, and her parents were living in Colorado at the time. They moved to Jasper since then. When we moved here, they realized we needed a lot of help.
Yeah.
And they were right.
Yeah.
So it's great to have them here. But when I first started dating Talia, that's my wife, her parents were in Colorado and lived in the mountains, and just being in that environment, I just was immediately hooked, and started climbing and messing around with 14ers, and then started gravitating towards more international renowned peaks and things like that. And goodness, over the last 7-8 years, I have climbed all over the world, dozens of mountains, and I've been very fortunate to be able to do that. But it's a big part of who I am. It makes me a better person, and yeah, the spring of 2004, I was able to stand on top of the world. That was a whole culmination of things, for sure.
That's really cool. Did you? And I know that you kind of had a struggle getting there, because I think you tried it once and didn't make it because of some weather or something like that, and then you went back and did it again. Did you ever think, I might not do this?
I don't really think like that.
Right.
So yeah, it's just dealing with adversity and overcoming that, and recalibrating and bouncing back from disappointments is just kind of part of it. And I enjoy that as well. Yeah, so it was getting to the summit of Everest was a bit of a saga, and I first was going to go in 2020, and I think less than 2 weeks before I was flying to Nepal, is everything shut down with COVID. And so the following year, 2021, I went back and actually made it to Nepal. Had a great trip. It was coming out of COVID. There was tons of issues, logistical challenges, and uncertainties, the whole climb. And there was a historic weather event. We had back-to-back cyclones that hit the area. And we got to Camp 4, which is at 26,000 feet, less than 3,000 feet from the summit, and basically missed our window. We were about 12 hours off when we got there, and weren't able to actually push for the summit. We sat there for several days in hurricane force winds and just terrible weather, and eventually had to just abandon the pursuit because that system was not going to leave. And that was devastating. I'm never scared or fearful of failure. That's just kind of something that's there. I never want to not do something because it might not work out. But I was shocked. I truly was shocked in that moment that didn't work out, that I didn't even get the chance. I felt great. I was well prepared.
And you were that close.
I mean, it would have taken me about 4.5 hours to get to the summit from where I was.
Yeah.
And I just needed a small weather break, just a break in the winds, to give it a go, and didn't get it. And so that was devastating. And then it was 3 years before I was able to go back. But this last time in 2024, I had great weather, had a really strong team, and we just knocked it out. That adversity, though, it made me a better climber. You know, I had to find a way to fall back in love with climbing. I pursued some different objectives in different parts of the world in that 3-year period before I went back. And I was much more equipped and competent as an independent climber when I went back in 24, and was able to just be present. I was familiar, I knew the process at that point, and I could just take it all in and just really enjoy it, and it was tremendous. And so this side of the book, you know, it's all worth it. It's a better story and it's beautiful, but there were some dark days doing that 3 years waiting to go back. It kind of haunted me.
Yeah.
Not depressed or anything like that, but just haunted. Like it was an unfinished task,
you
know, it was a goal that wasn't complete. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I wake up every day at 0. Yeah, I'm starting over. I'm fortunate to take a breath. God gave me another day, but there's responsibility that comes with that, the gift of another day of life, and I need to do something with it.
Yeah.
And so just waking up like that, having this lingering thing out there, trying to move on with my life and focus on other things and build businesses and things such as that, while also just wanting to desperately get back to Nepal and finish this this goal. It was a long 3 years, but again, I'm a better person. And had a much better, more rewarding experience when it came down to it as a consequence of that delayed gratification.
Well, I think overcoming adversity and problem solving are some pretty key skills for somebody who'd like to be mayor as well. You know, if you can keep fighting when you're on that mountain, you can keep fighting at any point, really.
Well, that's true with all of us.
Yeah.
But to have those opportunities to cultivate those kind of skills and those mindsets is invaluable for sure.
Now, we're on the radio. It's the Sound of Walker County. WJLX is interviewing Josh Gates. He's running for mayor of Jasper. Since we're on the radio and we're talking about mountain climbing, we're talking about climbing Everest, what is the sound of climbing like in your mind? What music do you go to? Like, do you have a certain type of music you like to listen to when you're preparing for a climb or climbing, that sort of thing?
I hate this question just because I don't want to do a disservice to any genre because I love it all, truly. But there's bluegrass and country fit in the mountains. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Even in Nepal?
It just feels right.
Wow.
It truly does. But I listen to absolutely everything.
Yeah.
For sure.
Any certain artists?
No. I like Spotify or my playlist. Just I put it on shuffle and just let it pick for me.
Yeah. I kind of thought you might be an eclectic mix of different
Ain't no
types.
mountain high enough.
Try to be. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Ain't no mountain high enough.
Ain't no mountain high enough. That's a good one. Yeah.
Well, there's no mountain higher. Yeah,
right.
Everything's downhill from here. For sure.
Right. Yeah. Also, any other things as far as like just, you know, I mean, mountain climbing's a pretty odd thing for somebody to do. Any other things that people may not know about you as far as your personality goes, or that just kind of stands out that you'd like people to know about before we take another break?
Well, and I kind of mentioned this earlier. The fact that I'm involving myself in politics and I'm running for an elected office, that is not something that's consistent with who I am. I think a lot of people that don't know me personally would be surprised that this isn't my wheelhouse. This is extremely awkward for me and uncomfortable in a lot of ways. Worth it, for sure. But I'm a very private, more reserved, introverted person. But this is something that I truly am passionate about. As I said earlier on today, there's real potential here, and I want to be involved with it, and I don't want to sit on the sidelines as you know this opportunity is in front of us.
All right. Hey, we'll take another quick break, listen to a couple more songs, and then we'll be back and wrap up with Josh Gates, running for mayor of Jasper. You're listening to WJLX live at 9 on Friday. WJLX, it's live at 9. James Phillips, I'm interviewing Josh Gates today. Josh is running for mayor of Jasper. He made that announcement on Monday of this week. And Josh, let's talk a little bit about kind of your business background and then family, that sort of thing before we end. A little bit about your business background. Just kind of tell us what you've done since you got out of the military. I know what you were doing when you first came to Jasper, what you've done during that time, and then also talk a little bit about, because when we were off the air, we were talking about what you've done with Main Street and the importance of a downtown and how that pushes the economy here in a small town. So that's a lot to throw at you. But let's first talk about kind of your background.
Well, sure. Just out of high school, joined the military. Both my grandparents were served. My dad's father, my grandpa, was in World War II and Korea. Somebody I always looked up to, and something I knew I wanted to try myself. I had no specific ideas, motivations, or familiarity with specific vocations or occupations within the military. I had a recruiter show me a video of Army Rangers and thought that looked cool, and so naively just committed to do that. I was fortunate enough for that to work out, but that was a wild experience. That certainly cultivated some leadership skills, some willingness to endure misery and push past perceived limitations, and just continued just to drive, to just push and to pursue excellence. And in being in that kind of community, in a special operations unit, kind of tip of the spear, premier raid force in our military, being in that environment around a bunch of A-type personalities that are all striving every day to be better and to top each other. It's so competitive. It really fosters some really cool things, and just that was tremendous. And that was just 4 years of my life. I joined in 2000. I got out in 2004. But that was a very active time, and internationally. There's a lot going on in that period, and I accomplished a lot, and I still today benefit from those years, both from just my outlook and perspective, my confidence, and my ability to get through things and work through things and process things and continue to, again, try to get better and try to work through things, and knowing that there's another side, knowing that there's more potential. I said this early on, the ceilings become floors. There's perceived limitations, and there's nothing more beautiful than pushing past those and seeing that there's a whole other level to get to. And I don't think that there's a cap on levels. I think you just continue to push.
Right.
And that's what I wake up every day trying to do, is get to that next level. So yeah, that was foundational for me. And great friendships, great memories, and something I've benefited still to this day from. I've done all kind of things. I've been all over the map career-wise. The biggest thing as far as leadership and just business development occurred when I was part of Saturday Down South, which is a small hobby blog, sports blog that focused on SEC football. Some good friends of mine kind of put that together, and we figured out a way to monetize the interest that was there. There was a lot of corporate media coverage that was kind of superficial and stale, we felt. Social media was a new burgeoning thing, and we kind of really benefited off the tailwinds of that, just capitalized on that connection and having a little more fun, trying to relate to your average fan more. And certainly, college football is a great space to be in with something like that. Had tremendous success early on. Oftentimes, and this was certainly true with the Saturday Down South experience, immediate success can be problematic because you don't learn lessons and you give yourself too much credit for things. Right. So as we struggled after that initial huge success we had to really choose to make it work and see if it was worth trying to salvage, see if we truly had something to work with here. Had to reverse engineer it a bit, but we're very fortunate to be able to do that. And that learning curve was significant. Just managing employees, running efficiently, and then just to skip ahead a little bit, in 2021, I was actually at base camp on Everest, the year that we got caught in the storm at the top and had to abandon it. But before we made that rotation where we were going to push to the summit, I was at base camp text messaging and emailing with one of my business partners, putting the framework of a deal together. There was a company that had done a capital raise and had funds allocated for strategic acquisitions in North America. And those are deals that typically take a long time to put together, and we were able to kind of outline the framework of that from base camp on my cell phone in my tent at 18,000 feet. That was really cool. And then that same September, so just was that 4 months later or so, 4 or 5 months later, when I was back in the U.S., we closed on the deal, and that was a cool experience. But Saturday on South became much bigger. It was when you're looking at brands and ad deals and things like that, which I'm sure you're familiar with. That's SEC focused, and so we wanted to be able to pitch more national campaigns, and so we launched several subsequent brands. Ended up covering the whole country, the whole nation, numerous conferences, and ventured in all kinds of different areas, and it became a very educational, very productive, just stimulating opportunity for me to just learn how to manage people, learn how to set visions, learn how to accomplish those goals, and that was incredibly rewarding. And so, we at 21, we had been in Jasper for about 6 years. I'd been plugged into several organizations during that time. I got involved with Main Street. And that, I'm trying to cover all the things you brought up.
You're caught up now.
I got involved with Main Street, and that has been incredible. And we were talking about recruiting businesses and things like that. One of the biggest things that outside entities and big entities want to see is local investment. They want to see a community where they has vibrant and sustained small businesses, and they want to see a community that's supporting those businesses. And their first impression is usually the downtown area. So there's a method to some of that madness, and being able to have that and we've gotten tremendous feedback with that. And I think most people will recognize that over the last 10 years, our downtown has a renewed vibrancy to it. And that's contagious, and it's infectious, and an outsider coming in for the first time senses that immediately. And so it's been a blast to just have a small part and some of those successes with Main Street. And then also another entity I was involved in early on was the Walker Area Community Foundation, as a grant reviewer. And that truly bonded me to our community, because you realize the heart of it. You're seeing these nonprofits that have a passion for meeting those deficiencies and meeting the needs of the community. And we started this conversation talking about how special Jasper is, how it has such a big heart, and everyone looks after each other and cares about each other sincerely. And being exposed to the nonprofits in Jasper and around our county was incredible, and really again bonded me to this area. And so the combination of those two involvements, along with other boards and things I've been involved in, has really given me a cool insight into who we are and also what we're capable of.
Well, we're talking to Josh Gates. We're going to wrap it up. Josh, we'll kind of go full circle. When we started this, we talked about why Jasper, why are you in Jasper. The biggest reason you're in Jasper is because you're raising a family here. Tell us a little bit about your wife and kids before we go, just so people know about you and your family.
That's the best part of me. I'm very blessed there. My wife, Dr. Talia Gates, is a local OBGYN with Walker Women's Specialist.
So she's touched plenty of families in Jasper, Walker County, and surrounding.
Oh, it's incredible. Give her a few more years. She'll probably. She knows everyone here,
right?
And she's probably delivered their children if they're under the age of 12 or so. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. And then I've got two sons, Kai and Zane. Kai is 12 and Zane is 8. And similar to other people that are raising families in our town, that's our future. And so wanting to have them as involved and active as possible, and having activities. And having an environment where they can just grow, be educated, and be challenged is critical. And my family is amazing, and I'm so fortunate to have them. I also have my parents are here. John and Julie Gates. My dad was a pastor at Mount Vernon Baptist Church for over 20 years in Curry. My wife's parents, Randy and Pat Judge, live here as well. They moved here, as I said.
You said they moved here from Colorado.
My wife's family is mostly from South Louisiana.
Okay.
Her parents, when she started college, moved to Colorado, and then were there for a little while until we settled here. And my brother Jacob Gates and his wife Lauren Rowland Gates are here, and their kids. My sister's in Birmingham, and I have a younger brother that's in Alaska, and I have another brother that's in Jasper as well. So I'm one of 5. Got a big family.
Yeah.
And we're all here, and that's been kind of a blessing. When my parents first moved here in '99, you have no idea how it's all going to shake out, and we all kind of scattered to the winds post high school, and marriages and career pursuits and things like that. And it's been really interesting, and exciting to see us all kind of settle back in the same area. Family is so important, and to have us all within an immediate vicinity of each other, supporting each other, and looking out for each other is really, really fun.
Well, Josh, I appreciate you coming in and joining us today. The election will be coming up August 24th?
August 26th.
26th,
Yes.
August 26th. I guess the next step's just getting your name out there and let people know that you're running for mayor, and qualifying will be in June, I believe?
June 24th.
Okay, so those are the next steps. We don't know if anybody else is running right now. You might be unopposed, but we'll see how that goes.
We'll
right?
see. Either way, this is about our community coming together and trying to move forward. So regardless of that outcome, I'm just excited to be a part of this. And if someone else wants to bring some fresh ideas, that's wonderful too. Like this is about local quality of life for us here, and that's what the focus is. And let's get after it. I'm excited.
Well, hopefully this is not the last time that we'll have you in studio before the election, and then once the election's over with, we'll have you in here pretty often, I think, probably.
That'd be great. This has been a lot of fun this morning. So
Yeah, I know it's not your typical thing, so I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
I really have.
All right, guys, thank you for listening here on Live at 9 this Friday morning. We'll do this every Friday at 9 a.m. on WJLX. Coming up next, we've got the professor of rock and roll, Woody Wilson, with the Woody Wilson Show. Join Woody today as he takes a step back and plays some of the best hits from all time. Thanks for listening to WJLX.